everyone, it's Hayes. In today's video we're going to be discussing Gabybaby's arc from season 1 to season 5 and talk from like a writer's perspective about like how he's developed. If you didn't know, I'm a professional writer. I don't know why I always laugh when I say that. I know I have the qualifications for it and the experience, but every time I say it and I'm just like, Hayes, you make money from calling the antagonist of a kid's show daddy on the internet. You're really professional. But anyway, I have a degree in creative writing, I have a master's in creative writing, a master's in script writing, I have a PhD in creative writing, I'm a published author, I do have some television industry experience. But as always, even though I'm a professional, I would still love to hear your opinions on this. The show is intended for you, for a non-professional to watch, so hearing what you think is always important, even if you're not part of the professional field. Just ignore what Thomas says to you. Not having professional experience doesn't mean you're exempt from having an opinion. Your opinion on this is absolutely valid no matter what he says. Although, spoilers, I do think Gabybaby is very well written. Not perfectly written, but very well written. So if you're here, this video, expecting me to be really negative about it, then this video is not for you.
Remember me.
Although, to make it clear, same with my Natalie video, I know Gabriel as a villain, far worse than Natalie in my opinion, so, and I'm not saying him being a child abuser is a good thing, that's quite obviously horrific, but the way it's written I think is very good. Not the actions. Those actions are awful. Quite obviously I would hope you'd realise I would condemn them. I'm just talking from a writer standpoint, not from a moral standpoint of how you should treat your kids. I hope that's obvious. So far we've already done a video on Natalie and there's loads of characters I want to take a look at now this first arc is over, season 1 to 5, but I thought Gabybaby was a good choice since he can't develop anymore as he is dead. I mean, unless of course Lila resurrects him, episode 28 resurrection, am I right lads, follows swiftly by episode 29 institutionalization, because I can't take much more of this. So Gabriel's dead, he's done developing because he is dead, obviously, which is why I've picked him basically. So we're going to take a look at Gabybaby from season 1 to season 5 and tell you why I think he's a pretty well written villain. And in this video I am going to mention other characters such as Natalie, Adrian and Marinette being the main ones, as well as Lila and Chloe, but I'm not going to talk too much about how they develop, just like how they affect him. And also I'm not going to talk about Cat Blanc and Ephemeral in terms of the development they have on Gabriel, just because they get erased, so it's not really much point, is there? Since, yeah, he does have development in those episodes, but then they no longer happen, so he goes back to where he was before those events. So for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to ignore them, basically. So in season 1, as we all know, we don't actually find out that Gabybaby is Hawk Daddy until The Collector, which is in season 2, not in season 1. However, despite this, Gabybaby, in my opinion, in season 1, does still have a presence, but in my opinion, I don't think it was that obvious. If I think back to my first watch through of season 1, I don't think it was obvious that he was Hawk Daddy. And instead, the fandom collectively jumped on Mr. Cubdale, which I will never forgive them for. Like, I never thought when I look back that Gabriel was Hawk Daddy during my first watch through, but I never once thought it was a limb. How dare you? You all owe a limb an apology.
How dare you?
So instead, Gabriel is positioned as a slightly evil, overbearing, but loving in his own really, really, really weird way. And his most notable appearances are in The Bubbler arguing with Nino, judging the contest in Mr. Pigeon, allowing Adrian to go to school in the second part of Origins, and this iconic moment from Simon Says.
Flap, flap, flutter, 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 flap.
But in my opinion, Gabybaby does kind of rather fly under the radar, which I think, like, they're meant to. I don't mean that as an insult. They don't want you to think necessarily. They don't want everyone to make it obvious, like, yeah, this one, he is the villain. You want him to have a presence, so he's introduced, so it's not a complete surprise. You're not introducing this brand new character as a villain in season 2 when it's revealed, but just so it's not completely obvious. I think it was done really, really well. So like I said, my impression when I first watched season 1 that it wasn't him, but that he was just not really nice, to be honest. The only thing really missing for me in season 1 where Hawk Daddy is concerned, not necessarily Gabriel, but Hawk Daddy, Hawkmoth, is his motivation for being the villain. Now, obviously, I know his motivation now, but in season 1 that was basically completely absent. In Origins, you do get the small talk with Nuru about the wish and what the Ladybug and Cat Miraculous can do if you can combine them. So it's like, okay, he wants it to make the wish, but, you know, why? Why does he want to make the wish? What's going on there? You know what I mean? So I understand why it's missing to keep us in the dark about his true identity. 100% understand it, but it does end up falling a little bit flat for me since he has no motivation in season 1. Like, I was just like, okay, why do you keep on doing this? Because every single episode he's there completely relentless doing this over and over and over again, and I'm like, why? The only reason I got through season 1 without motivation for the villain was because I was slightly high on depression medication because they gave me too much and I physically couldn't do anything else. So it's the only reason I got through season 1. Had I been, you know, in possession of all my proper mental faculties, I probably wouldn't have stayed longer than 3 episodes. Anyway. So then we have season 2 and 3, and these are together instead of being on their own and separately because I do like kind of see them entwined in terms of Gabriel's development. So of course in season 2 we open with the Collector, immediately find out Gaby Baby, he's been Hawk Daddy all this time, find out his motivation in those seasons as well. And as we progressively move through the rest of the show from season 1, we do get more Gabriel screen time. If you compare the Gabriel screen time in season 1 compared to season 5, it's night and day. He is in it so much more in season 5. However, it's a very progressive, slow build-up, which I think is really good for his development and leading him to the forefront, showing his desperation, his descent into madness more as he is in the show more as we get towards his death. I don't know why I find that funny. Anyway. So it's a really slow build-up though. I don't really think they did like any overkill with it. He slowly got added into the show more as we got towards season 5. Like by the time we get to season 5, Gabriel as Gabriel, not as Monarch Daddy, is pretty much in every single episode. He has like his own little thing going on. Whereas previous seasons, no, he doesn't. So like in season 2 there's a bit more than season 1, season 3 there's a bit more, season 4 there's a bit more, and by the time you get to season 5 he's in like in pretty much every single episode as Gabriel, not as whatever villain name he has. So some notable episodes in season 2 include Gorizilla because it shows his relationship with Adrian. If you can call it that, it shows him he still cares. I suppose shows the audience he still cares about Adrian, even though he doesn't want to spend time with him and watch the film before that, and Adrian needs an appointment to talk to his dad. But I like that kind of never faded. I remember, I think I talked about this when I was on Miraculous Besties podcast the first time I was on there, I think I've been on there like 3 times, I can't remember. But they were just like, I think it was Wise Kid. They were like, I'm not really sure why Gabriel is abusing Adrian when he wants to like bring his mum back and be this family again. And like to me, and I suppose I'm not sure now we've got the wish, I'm not sure if this was the actual intention because he didn't end up surviving to see the outcome of the wish, was that he basically was doing all this, was ignoring Adrian so he could have as much time as possible to akumatize people, to win, make the wish, make everything back to normal. And part of that wish would be to make Adrian forget all the horrible treatment he went through from Gabriel, and they would be back to this normal baseline happy family, and he would treat him nicely going forward from that, assuming he won. Obviously he did win, but it didn't work out in that way. Gabriel didn't get to see what happened. He didn't get to experience winning really. But I do like in Gorizilla, as kind of tense as their relationship is, I did like seeing it. It does show a different side to Gabriel that does kind of slowly start to fade. Like for example, again in Gorizilla you see that bit when Adrian's falling off the building and Gabriel, like he's suspicious in that episode that Adrian is Cat Noir. He's just like, I don't care, please just transform. That is night and day between Gabriel, for example, in an episode like Transmission, where he purposely gives Adrian an alliance ring when he's upset so he can akumatize him and make someone really, really powerful. I don't believe the Gabriel in Transmission is anything similar to the Gabriel in Gorizilla, who desperately just wanted his son to be okay and he was just like, you know what, I don't even care, please just transform. that is so different, and it shows just how far Gabriel has come, and I think it's amazing. Another great episode for Gabriel's development is Robustus, and it shows he's actually kind of weak as a villain because this AI robot is about to beat him and take over. Style Queen, we get a bit more about his past and how far Gabriel has come before the show even started. We learn a bit more about Emily and Audrey. And then of course the finale of season 2 with Catalyst and Mayura finding about Natalie and their relationship, and how, in my opinion, Natalie is more intelligent than him. Gabriel is pretty relentless, and he's just like, let's do it again and again. I couldn't get up every day and do this after having failed so many times, Gabriel. But he's just going for it, but his plans aren't always the best. But Natalie always knows, and their relationship together is amazing. Whether you ship them or not, they're like villain partnership. Let's go with villain. I'm not sure it's really a friendship, so I'm going to say partnership, but I think that suits them better. Is just amazing. I love it so much, and obviously you also see how their relationship breaks down as Gabriel develops and becomes more insane. And I will always still be forever sad that Gabe and Earth never happened.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
So in season 2 he has lots of key moments, like in Gorizilla, like in Style Queen, like in the finale, but again it's not overkill. The screen time focus is still on Marinette in season 2, but Gabriel is slowly becoming more present in the show, slowly building up and developing his character. But then in my opinion in season 3 is where like his descent into madness slowly starts. I think a lot of people think it's in season 5, he just goes completely mad then. In my opinion it starts in season 3. It's really good development. They don't just do it suddenly, which a lot of people think he does. No, it kind of starts in season 3 in my opinion. And why do I think it starts in season 3? Because he starts to ask Lila for help. So I'm pretty sure Miraculous in terms of chronological order is first, and then Ladybug, not like one after the other. Miraculous, some other episodes, then Ladybug, but he asked Lila for help on those. And that's just something, like, it's a major risk. In my opinion, that's because, like I've always said before Lila, so obviously in Emotion, Lila had that big moment. She goes to the Egress Grate, she's like, I know you're Hawk Daddy. Or Monarch, she's Monarch, not Hawk Daddy. Anyway, she knows. And I think a lot of people, from the reaction I got in my comment section on Twitter, just online in general, a lot of people were like, oh my god, I can't believe she knew, how did she know? And I was like, I've known since season 3 that she knows. Because of episodes like Miraculous and Ladybug. Why would he ask a child for help with this? And like, they've all been tied to a, you know what I mean? Like, it was so obvious she knew. I'm like, Gabriel, that's a massive risk you're taking, but it shows the madness he's descending into because he is enlisting the help of a child. He doesn't really know. Natalie is helping him because he knows he can trust her with quite literally anything. Yes, she does betray him, but up until that point he did truly believe he could trust her. Whereas Lila, he doesn't know at all. She's just some girl who goes to school with his son. That is an absolutely massive risk. That's the whole reason why I've known since season 3 that Lila knew his identity, because of the episodes Miraculous and Ladybug. It's a huge risk, and by him doing that shows how desperate and kind of insane he is getting. There are other instances within season 3, for example in the episode Backwater. So pretty much all of Gabriel's instances of Akumas in the show are performed. He stands in his lair, they're performed from the lair. There are only a couple of instances where he's not in the lair for an Akuma. And one of those is in Backwater, where he's in the train toilets, the Star Train toilets, akumatizing people. Showing him becoming more desperate because he's going out in public. Another episode that shows his desperation is Felix, where Felix arrives, and yeah, don't get me wrong, Felix isn't a very nice person, going around stealing rings. He allows Felix to get under his skin. Up until the episode Felix, Gabriel is very cool, calm and collected. He gets, you know, annoyed when he's personally on his own, but when it's in front of other people, he's pretty unflappable. Felix just gets under his skin, and that's just shows like how desperate he's becoming, that he's allowing this 14-year-old boy to like get under his skin. I used to work with kids before I got this job. I used to just have a volunteering job helping out around like the neighbourhood with kids, and they were only 8 years old, so much younger than Felix, and they'd say the most random things and he'd just be like, okay, whatever, because they're just kids. But Gabriel is letting Felix affect him. And then of course we have the season 3 finale with Gabriel just starting to show his more, I guess, more ruthless side, because they are quite literally beating up Master Fu. Obviously no, they're not like physically punching him or whatever, they're using a Senti monster to do it from Mayura's power, but like they're resorting to just like basic violence to do it, which is pretty disgusting, and also allowing Natalie to get ill. Like, Gabriel's becoming so warped, like he knows how dangerous it is. He says in season 2 at the end, he's like, what are you doing? Never use it again. He knows how dangerous it is. Same in the episode Ladybug. They're about to do the Scarlet Akuma again, but she starts coughing and can't do it because of her use of the Peacock Miraculous. But by the season 3 finale, he's just like, whatever it takes. So it shows to start his descent into madness in season 3. So in my opinion, he doesn't just snap in season 5. I feel like season 5 is the point of no return at the end of Evolution, but the descent starts in season 3 and it kind of slowly develops through season 4. So a key moment of development for Gaby Baby in season 4 is of course episode 409, Daddy Aggressed. It's one of my favourite episodes, but I do love the name of it. I got a lot of comments asking like, why didn't you put Daddy Aggressed in the title? Like when you type it on YouTube, why didn't you put the title? Because sadly only you lot call it Daddy Aggressed, and other people wanting to find an analysis of the episode wouldn't be typing it in, so it was for the algorithm. But I did put Daddy Aggressed in the thumbnail, so... Anyway, he starts to become really unhinged during season 4. Not always, but at some point. So in 409, he basically threatens to murder Felix. As we all know by now, Felix is a senti-monster, and Gabriel threatens to snap him. He has a Peacock Miraculous. You don't need the person's amok to snap them out of existence, which Felix seems to be in possession of. Gabriel never seems to have had Felix's amok. But he literally threatens to snap Felix out of existence. He threatens to kill him.
And now you know that I only need to snap my fingers to make you disappear from here.
You wouldn't dare.
Do you want to take that risk, Felix?
Okay. Alrighty then. You know what I mean? Like, I know he doesn't phrase it in that way, but that's pretty insane behaviour. We also have again Optigami and Senti Bubbler. Again, they're kind of like public events that he attends both times. So in Optigami, it's very calculated, and the whole plan centres around Adrian and this fake award. And I know Gabriel does try and keep Adrian out of harm's way, but there's absolutely zero guarantee that Style Queen would have listened to him. Zero guarantee at all. And he put Adrian in major danger. So previously, for example, in the episode Gorizilla, like I've already said, he truly cares about Adrian. You see the full extent to how much he cares about Adrian. But in Optigami, he's absolutely not above using Adrian for his own personal gain here. And then again, in Senti Bubbler, it's in public. That is a major risk, and it shows how mad Gabriel is getting. Gabriel has always been, like, I think has been a solid plan for, like, seasons 1 and 2. Like, I'll just stay in my lair. Like, with the exception of the season 2 finale, he's pretty much stayed in his lair the whole time. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but like, majority of the time, 98% of the time, he's in his lair the entire time. It's like, you can't touch me, you can't defeat me, because you can't get to me. And in Senti Bubbler and Optigami, he's like going out in public. It shows the risks he is taking and how much more mad he is getting. And then of course, in the season 4 finale, he puts the entire city in danger, again, including Adrian. Now, I know Gabriel's like, oh, we're going to send him away with Lila on this trip, this weird worldwide perfume tour. However, he exposes Adrian to risk before he doesn't eventually leave, but before he's meant to leave. Like, if you wanted to save him, wouldn't you send Adrian before you akumatize risk? You know what I mean? Like, it's just so insane. And then at the end of Strike Back, in order to get the Ladybug, he trades the Peacock Miraculous with Felix. I can understand on one level why he does it, because he offers a wedding ring, which is one half of Adrian's amok. So I'm like, okay, yeah, fair enough. But I really don't feel like he was necessarily doing it out of protection for Adrian or even sentimental value. He just kind of wanted it back because Felix took it from him. He was just like, yeah, sure, I'll have it back, just because I don't want you to have it. I don't feel it was protect Adrian or out of love for Emily. I think it was just because he hated Felix, in my opinion. And it also showed that Felix knew what was going on, and Gabriel was absolutely okay with him knowing that. And again, just shows how many more risks he's taking as he slowly starts to descend into madness. Like, there's a screenshot I'll try and find from Strike Back in the office when they're doing this, and he just looks like a stereotypical cartoon villain where he's just going basically crazy, which is always fun. So as I said before, Evolution to me is basically the point of no return, which is the first episode of season 5. So first of all, we have Ladybug, so she leaves the little Miraculous box, jewelry box thing in the burrow, and like Gabriel is literally about to win. He's about to give the instructions to the past version of himself how to fix the Peacock Miraculous before Emily ever uses it to make Adrian, but he doesn't do it because he gets taken over by what Ladybug is about to do. Like, he completely starts to lose it because he is focused on defeating a 14-year-old girl, a child, rather than saving himself and his wife from everything that's about to happen, you know what I mean? Then of course Gabriel is further affected by Natalie, quite rightly telling him off, because if he gave the instructions to Emily to repair the Peacock Miraculous, then none of this would have ever happened, including Natalie getting ill as well. So evolution right at the end, that is, in my opinion, the point of no return for Gabriel. I do feel like in seasons 3 and 4, where he's slowly descending into madness, slowly becoming more insane in terms of his evilness, in terms of his villainy, he definitely could have backtracked, he could have returned, he could have become good or at least less evil. But I feel like the end of evolution is the point of no return for Gabriel in terms of his completely mad evil arc. We then of course have Destruction, where he's Cataclysm, like complete, like, that's just insane. Obviously Gabriel, I think again the reason he did it, he was just like, it's fine, I can take this Cataclysm because I'm gonna be cured, I'm gonna make the wish, I'm gonna win, it's all gonna be fine. I guess what I think he was thinking, but like an insane choice to make, you know what I mean? Like that's just ridiculous. I think most people either would have surrendered to Ladybug or tried to find a different solution. You know, not, I wouldn't have done that. Absolutely not. Like you couldn't have known the effects it would have on you, you silly man. Then of course we have the rings with the tracking, which is a big brain move. So lucky Adrian and Marinette never wanted to wear them, thank God. Then of course we have Kwame's choice, and oh my god. First of all, the dance. Only part of season 5 to make me cry, not cry in a good way, cry out of cringe. No. Again, that just shows how insane he's becoming. I don't know if it was meant for comedic value, I thought it was terrible. And to me it just shows how bad Gabriel is getting. And then he goes again, once again, into public to try and defeat, not Ladybug and Cat Noir, Scarabella and Kitty Noir, obviously still the same Miraculous. He goes into public and risks it instead of making an Akuma to do it. He does it himself. Whilst I can understand that on one level, as like if you want a job doing properly, do it yourself. Again, it was an extremely risky thing to do because he was so desperate, he was so close to winning, he was like, I'll just go and do it myself, I'll get them myself. But then he was like, oh, he nearly got defeated in that episode. And then also in transmission, so Adrian comes home talking with Marinette, Plag and Tiki take the Miraculous, Gabriel comes in and is like, have this alliance ring, I'm going to Akumatize you. The abuse of Adrian in season 5 is just absolutely horrible to watch, but from a writing standpoint, I think it showed Gabriel's development really well. And this kind of more abusive and controlling behaviour, in my opinion, starts in Mega Leech. Mega Leech is the first episode, which is episode 410? Yeah, no, 410, what was I, 410? 410, where you see Gabriel for the first time, I think, use the Amok to physically control Adrian. So after like, pretty much at the end of the episode, after the whole events of the episode, obviously been protesting in the park against the, I think it's the oxygen tower in Mega Leech. Gabriel has to go Adrian when he gets home, and then as Adrian goes upstairs, Gabriel is doing the twisty with the wedding ring in order to control Adrian. So that's kind of when the abuse starts. They don't really do much else with the ring, I think, apart from in Ephemeral and maybe in Risk and Strike Back. I think. Gosh, it's been a while since I watched those episodes. But the abuse that Adrian faces in season 5 really escalates compared to season 4, and it's pretty horrific to watch, but again I do think it is developed really well in tandem with how mad, increasingly mad, Gaby Baby gets. So then we have also Intuition, which is the key moment in Gabriel's development, shows him going crazy, just trying the same thing over and over again, which also contributes negatively to his health because having to relive the same moment, everyone else isn't aging but he is. That's the problem with time travel, is that you're going around but then you travel back to where you left off. You have lived maybe like 2 months in the past or in the future, everyone else has stayed the same age. It's not good. We also have Adoration, which is a huge moment of abuse in the show, and Gabriel says no. No. How on earth he knew what was going on? Was he at the window? I can't remember. But how on earth he knew what was going on was just insane, and then for him to be like, no. As we see in episodes like Pretension and Protection, he's becoming really controlling over every aspect of Adrian's life, including his love life, which is just insane. He's a child. Like, leave him alone. Let him date whoever he wants. Like, Marinette isn't dangerous. Like, it's not like she's some sort of criminal mastermind. It's just awful to watch. It's awful to watch, but from a writer's standpoint, I love the way it develops and progressively gets worse. It's really interesting to watch. Then, of course, in Representation, we have Gabriel and Adrian fight. Not that Gabriel knows who he is fighting, but I do think it's a really key moment for Gabriel's development, because even though he's arguing with his son, which he isn't aware of, what Adrian is saying to him as Cat Noir makes complete sense. He's being completely rational and Gabriel isn't able to understand any of that. Possibly because it's coming from Cat Noir and not maybe from Natalie, although at this point in his relationship with Natalie, I don't think he would have listened to her either. But it just kind of shows how far he's gone because he's not able to really listen to any rational thought anymore. And then of course we have the finale with Gabriel slowly crumbling, which I absolutely love. It's just like a physical representation of him completely disintegrating and having gone too far, and I just love it. It's absolutely disgusting, but I love it. So in Recreation, he is pretty much going hell for leather. He's like, I'm going to defeat Bug Noir, I'm going to defeat Marionette Ladybug, whatever he wants to call her. I'm going to win, I'm going to make this wish. But then he has a moment right at the end where he's momentarily like, oh my god, what have I done? And I really, really liked that, only for him to turn around and go like, okay, whatever. Like I said, at Evolution, he's at the point of no return. So even though he does seem to have that one moment of clarity where he talks to her about Emily, which in my opinion I do think was a genuine moment of clarity, I love that he's just like, I'm too far gone. You're here, I've got to be miraculous. Let's go! However, I do feel that his wish, and again, I'm not sure how accurate what I'm about to say is because, again, we don't actually know what he asked for. He just said, read my heart, read my mind, read my soul, whatever it was he said. He didn't actually say, yeah, I want this, and then I want this. So I don't actually know what precisely he asked for. But from what we've seen at the end of Recreation, is that I'm not actually sure it's completely in keeping with his character. I do still believe in his own twisted, abusive way that he loves Adrian. But like I said, it got so twisted by the time we get to season 5 that I'm not sure Gabriel actually had any goodness left in him to make the good world, the nice world we see at the end of Recreation after the wish. So I feel like if they were going to make the world so nice and have it come from someone who was so evil, who was a child abuser and terrorising all of Paris for over a year, that he needed to show more conflict during season 5 between any goodness left in him and the evil and the madness that was slowly taking over him. And as a result of this, I think, and I'm going to talk about this for the rest of my life until I die, is this easily could have been kind of improved by Adrian trying to confront his dad more. Now I understand the Amok was in play here and everyone's like, oh well, he would have controlled Adrian in the final battle with the Amok. And I'm like, okay, could we not maybe consider the fact that maybe Ladybug could have got the Amok off Hawkmoth? We're not even considering that as a possibility or something that could have happened? So that wouldn't have, like, maybe the fight started like that, with Cat Noir wanting to be on Ladybug's side but physically being on Hawkmoth's side and having to fight for him. You know what I mean? Like, and then maybe flips if Ladybug got the Amok and she wouldn't necessarily control Cat Noir, but she would at least have him on her side, you know what I mean? Don't say it. But because there was no proper confrontation of Adrian really throughout season 5, apart from representation, which in my opinion didn't have the full effect because you don't see, like Gabriel doesn't see that it's Adrian. I really feel like having more Adrian talking to his dad about what he's becoming and how Adrian feels about him would have really helped show more the goodness he had left inside him. They don't really have many good moments like that, apart from, is it an Illusion where he's making Adrian pancakes? I think it's an Illusion. That's really the only good moment that comes to mind, although please add more if I can't remember anymore right now. That's only really like the good moment they have of their relationship between the two of them. And I think having more of those moments in season 5 would have shown the goodness left in Gabriel. So less from the standpoint of it being unsatisfying for Adrian's arc as well, which it also is, but less from a standpoint about that, but more so it's satisfying for Gabriel's arc as well, so he can see what he's completely, truly done. But also show the goodness still left inside him. So there you go, besties. That was my analysis of Gabriel's arc from season 1 to 5. I doubt there's going to be anything else I can add to this since, as I said before, he's dead, which is why I thought this was a good one to do since he can't develop anymore. But of course, I'd always love to know what you think. This show is meant for everyone, so I'd love to know what you think, whether you're a professional writer or not. It's always important to find out everyone thinks of it, not just professionals. So I'd love to know what you all think. Did you think his descent into madness was done effectively? Are you like me? Do you think it started in season 3 or you're only able to identify it from season 5? What do you think about his relationship with Adrian? I'd love to know what you all think, besties, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!